Good morning, YouTubers, or good evening, depending on when you're watching me, I guess. But it's morning for me, and this is my 2009 Subaru Forester. Runs great now. My $300 car I picked up probably over a year ago. Lots of videos on this, and since day one, I have had a rumble in the back, and I'm suspecting it's a wheel bearing. Boy, it's just impossible sometimes to tell which side, it's bad, which is bad. You can spin the wheel, jack it up, but still you're not going to find out. It's kind of hard to tell because you got an axle there, and it's going into the back of the rear end there, so it's kind of hard to figure out sometimes which side's bad. Unless you got one ready to fall off, then it's pretty good fine. I've shaken the wheel, can't really feel any play in the wheel. It's kind of sitting there, so what I've done so far, I've taken most of the brake work off here. Pretty easy to do. Everything here so far has been 14mm sockets. 14mm socket on the caliper here, and we're taking the brake bracket off here in the back. There's only one bolt left here, and once we get this caliper off, we can pull the well, it just kind of fell off there. There it is. We can pull off the rotor, and there that is. And I got a huge bee flying around. What the heck is that thing? Anyway, pull this off here, and there's our e-brakes and all that, and there is what we got to take off. On the back side, back here in the back, there are bolts. Now, it probably would be better to show you my new one to show you where all that is. What we got to do is loosen those bolts up and pull this out. Now, about a month ago, I tried to get this off, and if you notice, there's a lot of marks on here. I could not get this thing to budge out, so what I did, I loosened bolts in the back of this, and I actually stuck a bar in there and hammered on the bar, and I started to get it to come out, and then I just gave up on it. It got late, and I put it back together, and I've been driving it ever since. So maybe it'll come out a little bit easier. Let me show you the wheel bearing that we're going to be putting in, and hopefully this will be a quick video just to kind of give you some idea how I'm doing it. There's other videos online. You'll just have to pick a video and try to do this job the best way that works for you. And here is the wheel bearing. Picked it up for $38 on eBay off of a dealer, and not OEM, but it's pretty much, it's hard to find a lot of stuff these days, cheap OEM. Everything's aftermarket. But here are the bolts in the back. One here, here, and here. And it kind of sits in there like that. This part of the housing right here is what's in the hub assembly, I guess you could say. This is the part that's frozen or it's rusted really bad, so somehow we gotta get this out. I'm gonna loosen all the bolts up, maybe a couple threads, and just kind of hit them. See if I can kind of push this whole thing out that way in the hub assembly, or whatever we want to call that piece out there. So that's what we're up against. So my luck probably will be this side's fine. I mainly want to take it off, spin it in my hand, and see if I can feel anything and determine if it's bad or not. If not, we'll put it back on. Then we're going to go on the other side and check it. I don't think it's in the driveline system. It's more of a rumble back here. If it was in the universals here, I think I would have a lot louder noise, but we'll see. But I think it's mainly back here in the rear end. So in the back part of the vehicle, it's oscillating, making noise, and it's making it kind of the sound oscillate, and kind of the harmonics are going through the car. So it's really hard to tell which side it is. Yeah, I've done the steering wheel thing, and it stays pretty much the same, so I don't know. So we're going to see if we can get this off. So go ahead and we'll loosen these bolts up and see if we can hammer on those bolts back there a little bit, see if we can get this thing to come off. We shouldn't have to worry about these emergency brakes or anything. It looks like it should clear at this point. It should. Well, we'll see. Hey, let me know where you're watching from right now. Well, we're going to do that now. I kind of jumped the gun. So we're using a 1 1/4 inch socket, and I'm going to use my electric DeWalt guy here. You can break this loose when the wheel is on the ground. Just saves, makes it easier that way, because you can't lock this up. This thing is always going to be freewheeling, even in park. So that's off. All right, now what I've learned so far, when you're taking these bolts out in the back, they are 14 mils. Everything on this car is metric, so don't even worry about bringing out your SAE tools. Still, it's all metric. The top bolt back here in the back, and I don't think you can be able to see it. You can get to that right about there, just with a little short 14 mil, and it's pretty easy to break loose. We're just going to turn this out maybe 2 or 3 turns for now. so we can kind of hit it and help force this out. Now the one on this side, you will have to use a deep well, and I think the one on the bottom on the other side, which is the third one, which is right, let's see if I can put my finger on, which is down here, you can pretty much get an extension on that. So basically the bolt on this side is a shorty, and these two over here you're going to have to use extensions and kind of get in here and try to figure out which works best for you. You can actually lay up under the vehicle and get up under there and maybe put an extension. I do have a couple of jacks here to make it a little safer, so let me go ahead and get those loosened up. Alright, so I took the bottom one out. I'll show you what it looks like, but I'm going to go ahead and do this top one. Just get an extension and get under your vehicle, and it works pretty good. I think you can see that, I don't know, the light is pretty bad there, so I'll break this top one loose here a little bit. Turn it a few turns, and the whole idea is we're going to try and hit those and maybe free that up so we can get it out. You might be able to see that hole there. That's where the bolt is out on that one. I'm going to stick it back in here in a second. So, alright, so I got that backed out a little bit there. I hope you can see that. I don't know. We'll see. I'll check the video out later. And there's what they look like. So we're going to see if we can keep something on there, and we'll just tap these until it gets this whole assembly freed up, and maybe we can get it out that way. Now I've seen some guys put a puller on here, put clamps on here, and try to pull these off. If you do that, I guarantee you're going to damage your axle, because if these are frozen in there, it's going to put so much pressure in here, you're going to pop one of these bearings or do some damage inside the rear end. So don't even try it, because I tried it and I ended up putting way too much pressure on, and I just stopped. I said, that ain't going to work. So some vehicles you can do that, but not this one here. Don't do it with these CV axles and that little delicate rear end back here. So I'm going to put this back in. I'm going to get my slightly large hammer, and I want to hit these a little bit and see if we can work this out. Alright, let me crawl back up from under here. I want to clarify one thing. I guess you don't have to have a deep well. You could just use a regular short socket like that to get in there if you have an extension on it. So now I'm going to go ahead and start hammering on this thing. Alright guys, well after about 10 minutes into there, that thing is not budging. I got one side to come a little bit, you know, but it's not worth all that work. So what I have here is a broken extension. I kind of cut the end of it off here, and this is what I use to help drive bolts out. And I'm using this with a pretty big guy there. So I think what I will do, and I think probably what's best, is go ahead and take these brake shoes off here for the emergency brakes. I've painted them, and we'll take some pictures. That's pretty easy to take off, and we're going to get in here with a hammer and hit. Now I have a better angle of hitting this, because if I try to hit this, it's kind of hitting the brake shoes, and I don't want to bust this. But if I take all these brake shoes off here, this will give me more access into this whole assembly here, and maybe I can get kind of get a couple chisels in here, sharp chisels, and help drive this out. So this is just things you got to do, you know. So you gotta love the Northeast rust, right? But it's not terribly, but still it's in there pretty good. So let me go ahead and take these brakes off here and see if we can get it that way and get it off. All that just to check this hub. Of course, like I said, it's probably good, but at least I will know. Alright, I'll just kind of let that hang down there, because I don't want to fight with that cable. And what I did, I took a bunch of pictures. I took red and white paint, and I kind of marked everything. I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to show you the pictures real quick in case you accidentally forget how they go. And I kind of laid them out on a cloth like that. Just remember that guy right there, this little triangular thing. This goes on first before any of your top springs go back on. That top spring goes back on in this one here. So don't forget that. But here is, look at those pictures real quick. There's 4 of them. Alright, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, take these bolts out here real quick in the back. I think this one here is, I'll spin all these out real quick, and all we'll have to do is take the hammer and hit this a bunch of times. Maybe it'll start to come loose, but that's all we got to do. I don't want to damage this plate, but at least I can hit this a little bit better, and I hope I don't ruin a good bearing here, but it's my only option at this point. So let me try this. Guys, I've been tapping on it, and it's coming a little bit right there, so something's moving. I'm not sure what. Let's see. Well, partially out. Oh, I see. What's going on is this wheel bearing is pressed into this other plate in the back. It came out with it. It holds this on, so I'm going to have to separate this a little bit somehow. I might just put a chisel in here and see if I can get this loose, but that's how that's coming out. So let me get this here on off. Well, maybe we'll finish this by the end of the year. Maybe we won't. I apologize for the dogs up the street barking. I just have no control over when they're going to bark and when they're not. So I'm going to try and get this. There we go. I think it's coming now. If I can turn this, it'd be nice if I can turn this a little bit there and get my chisel back under here. All that to get a stupid wheel bearing off. So we get the other side here. Alright, we're almost there. Hopefully somebody will appreciate this video. Maybe I'll get 5 or 10 views. There it is, all of that, only because this back plate right here, this housing, it was froze up in this right here. So that's good there. So here's our wheel bearing. The big question is, is this thing bad? Let me take it in the garage and we'll look at it real carefully. Let's test this thing out. Oh, this is the one that's bad. Hear that? I can feel it. Hear that? I can feel it there. So this is what you got to do if you really want to check your wheel bearings. You can even hear that. Hear that? I can't believe I lucked out. And this is the OEM one. Yeah, that's probably... It's got an ABS sensor on the back, so you gotta be careful not to damage these seals. So, what do you know? I actually lucked out on that. I can't believe it. That's the bad one. But it sounded like it was on that side. I knew it was. It sounded like it was in the rear too. But now let's get the new one. We'll compare that with the old. Sorry if I sound like I'm out of breath. I'm not dying. I'm just, it's hot out here and I'm working hard. So, and this one here. See, that's the way it's supposed to be. It's nice and smooth, no noise. Not like that. Yay! I'm so glad I found the right one. Alright, so let's start assembling. We'll set that there. I wanted to kind of look at this, and you know, you could actually probably get a chisel behind here, but if you do that, then you may damage this plate here. So I think the best thing to do, if the whole thing comes off as one piece, you don't have to get it off so far. You get your chisel in behind here and try to separate it a little bit, because you can see how that's made. This is actually riveted on the backing plate here with these big rivets, so you can't take this backing plate off. Even try to separate this back plate here, this piece here on the back of this, out of that bearing, because it sits in there kind of deep. So you'll just have to figure out what works best for you. If you live in the Northeast, you're probably cringing and you're thinking, gee whiz, but you know, hey, give it a try. Give it a gander, because worst thing can happen is you can fail, and maybe you can still get it fixed in the end. So I'm going to get this on here. We're back with a new edition of How Do You Like My New Wheel Bearing? It's in. I almost cross-threaded one of these bolts there, but I did get it in and finally chased it and cleaned up the threads. But it's in. All we got to do now is go ahead and put those brakes back on. I've got the pictures to guide me and all that, and we're good. So yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I could fix this and drive it. I might still have the noise, and it could be the other side. I mean, I could have both of them bad. I don't know, but this one was definitely bad. So I'll go ahead and put the brakes on it, and we'll take it out and see if the noise is gone. So I hope I get lucky and it's gone. If not, I'll have to order another one and do the other side, but I'll see you back here shortly. Everything's back together, and I had to check my pictures because up here it's kind of you know, tricky to get all that on, but you want to make sure everything is right, and there's the sides, so it's all done. And now we're going to put the wheel on it, and we'll take it out and see if our noise is gone. So I'm happy we got this side done. If I do have to take the other side apart, I know how to do it. So hey, give me a thumbs up if this video helps you out. If you don't like it, hey, just give it a big old fat thumbs down. As we're cruising down the highway, we're doing about 50, almost 60. I'm going to slow down. We're doing about 55, and 80% of that noise is gone. That's what it was. Now that other wheel bearing, I bet it's bad also. I can kind of hear just a little bit back here, but most of it's gone. So that did take care of that, most of that noise. So I'm going to check that other one later. I think I'm just going to replace it since I know how to pretty much get it off. And I'm going to replace the other one later. So I probably won't make a video on that one. At least you know how to change it. Let's see. So right through here, I can really hear it. I barely hear it. So I think the other side's probably bad too. So you know, you change one, you might as well change them both, right? So I'll look on eBay and buy me another one pretty cheap and all that good stuff. So yeah, it still worked out pretty good for me. I'm glad I replaced one of them because I'll be driving this all winter. Alright guys, so there you go. If you enjoyed the video, I'm glad you did. So looks like we're going to replace another wheel bearing down the road a little bit later. If you want to see it, hey, let me know in the comments section. So until my next video guys, I'll see you later.